The Sleepover by Summer Holiday. Listen up, shithead. If your weak ass can somehow beat me, then we can have a sleepover just like when we were brats. You know, the ones you keep blabbering about missing. Famous last words. Okay, maybe Katsuki had underestimated how much Deku really missed those sleepovers. But Katsuki was feeling extra cocky, riding high after completely dominating the nerd throughout the whole match. He never thought he would actually lose. But immediately after hearing the taunting wager, Deku reawakened from the brink of defeat and was possessed by the newfound motivation. His speed doubled, his strikes were more devastating, and within a few minutes, Katsuki found himself ruthlessly pinned by a feral Deku with demon-white eyes. And that's how Katsuki found himself here, dragging his feet to Deku's dorm room, ready to make good on that damn bet. Whatever. It was just a lame sleepover. Katsuki reached up to knock on the door, which opened almost immediately to reveal Deku wearing onesie pajamas. A fucking All Might, one-size-fits-all onesie that was way too big for his short fanboy ass. What the fuck are you wearing, nerd? Deku smiled nervously. His green curls peeked out from under the oversized yellow hood. It's just like the pajamas we used to wear to sleep over as kids, plus ultra. He raised his fist in a little cheer. What are you, 5 years old? Katsuki growled. Why did his cheeks feel so hot? He pushed past him and dropped his backpack on the floor near the nerd's desk. Deku quietly closed the door and approached him hesitantly. I, got you one too. No. That's completely fine. He waved his hands frantically as if he was trying to calm an angry beast. I just thought... So what are we fucking doing? Katsuki interrupted, his eyes scanning the room. God, there was so much fucking All Might merch here, covering the walls and every damn surface. Oh, I figured we could read All Might comics and maybe watch a movie on my laptop. That's what we used to do. I got your favorite spicy chips and some soda. A large bag of chips sat on the desk. The super spicy variety of hero chips, emblazoned with the image of the flame hero Endeavor. Well, okay, maybe the snacks weren't shit. They weren't something he'd eat regularly, but they'd probably make the sleepover a tiny bit more bearable. Katsuki's eyes wandered over the small section of soda. The damn nerd knew Katsuki had a secret sweet tooth for these things. They made him think of summer festivals under paper lanterns and skies filled with fireworks. His gaze continued past the snacks to a large stack of Deku's childhood comics and the nerd's laptop, open to the All Might streaming service. That's when the realization hit Katsuki full force. The snacks, the comics, the movies, even the fucking pajamas. Deku was trying to recreate their childhood sleepovers down to the last minute detail. Deku's chipper voice continued, hammering the realization home further. And I put the bedroll out for me. You get the bed and I get the floor, just like when we were kids. Katsuki stared at the makeshift bed on the floor, his eyes popping out of his head with rage. Deku was chasing his happiest childhood memories with Katsuki. The only problem was that Katsuki had still been a little fucking asshole to Deku, even at those sleepovers that Deku seemed to remember with such reverence. Fuck that. Katsuki was so pissed off. He wasn't the same brat anymore. He had overcome those weaknesses. Why the fuck was the shitty nerd still holding on to that shit? Right there at that moment, Katsuki decided how he'd deal with this. By the end of this fucking night, Izuku Midoriya would know with complete clarity that his reverence of those shitty memories was completely stupid. Katsuki was going to prove him wrong by showing him how much more fucking amazing a sleepover with present-day Katsuki was. I changed my mind. Where are those shitty pajamas you got me? Katsuki wasn't going to half-ass this shit. What, really? A wide, excited smile bloomed across freckled cheeks. Just get me them, dumbass. You won't regret it, Kachan. They're super soft. I'm already fucking regretting it. Deku looked away while Katsuki stripped to his boxers, stepped inside the onesie, punched his arms through the sleeves, and zipped it up to his chin. He felt completely ridiculous. It was like he was cosplaying as his younger self. He was flipping the yellow hood up over his spiky hair when he heard the nerd mutter, So cute. Deku was staring at him in awe with pink cheeks. Ha! What did you say? Was this asshole making fun of him? Some chips. Deku choked, frantically grabbing the spicy chip bag and whipping it at Katsuki. I said, have some chips. Katsuki just glared at the boy as the bag hit his pajama chest and fell to the floor. Kachan looks very cozy, the green-haired boy said with a shy, apologetic smile. Shut up, Katsuki growled. The pajamas were extremely soft and comfortable, but there's no way in hell he'd admit that to the nerd's face. He picked up the bag of spicy chips and looked past it to the desk. Are these the only snacks you got? I sort of ran out of money for other snacks, Deku chuckled nervously, then suddenly panicking. You still like this kind, right? Yeah, but you don't. Your wimpy ass can't handle the heat. What are you gonna eat? Deku blinked, completely caught off guard by Katsuki's concern. Don't worry, Kachan. I visited my mom earlier and had a pretty large dinner. This damn self-sacrificial bastard. This part had always been the same when they were brats, too. Deku would tell his mom to get the spicy chips, even though they were way too spicy for him just because they were Katsuki's favorite. Katsuki wasn't going to let the past repeat itself on his watch. He was silent for a few seconds while he came up with a plan. Then he walked back over to the door. I'll be back. Oh, okay, where are you going? The damn nerd sounded as if he was afraid that Katsuki wouldn't return if he escaped the sight of those large green eyes for even a moment. Katsuki slammed the door in reply. What he did next showed just how far he was willing to go to conquer the sleepover shit. He knocked on Dunceface's door, still dressed in the shitty onesie. The electric blonde opened the door and immediately fell into a state of shock. What? You? But it's not even my birthday. Katsuki refrained from blasting the other boy's face. Instead, he set himself into hostage negotiation mode. You can take one photo in exchange for a bag of chips that I know you have squirreled away in your lame room. One photo and a selfie. Done. Minutes later, Katsuki returned to Deku's room, finding him on his makeshift floor bed, already looking through comics. He dropped a bag of chips onto the nerd's lap. Nori and salt is your favorite flavor, right? Yes, you remembered. Deku stared at the bag of chips as if it was a limited edition All Might figure, a wobbly little smile on his face. Of course I did. I've got the best fucking memory around it, don't you forget it. Kachan's amazing, Deku whispered softly, making Katsuki's stomach feel gross. Damn embarrassing nerd. Katsuki's hand reached for the comic at the top of the stack to distract himself from that feeling, but stopped. A little further on the desk was one of the nerd's damn notebooks that he was always scribbling in. He continued reaching, but picked up the notebook instead, and heard Deku's breath catch. The air in the room suddenly seemed thick, and instead of opening the book, Katsuki found himself actually asking for permission. Can I look at this? Deku nodded slowly, uncharacteristically silent, seemingly overcome with some unknown emotion. Katsuki flipped to a recent entry and began reading. I hadn't thought of using Black Whip like this, but it makes sense if you're controlling it with your shitty emotions. There was a clattering noise and Katsuki looked up to see Deku with his arms filled with more notebooks. The nerd's face was pink with excitement. If you think that's interesting, you should check out some of my other notes. And for what must have been hours, they spent sitting on the floor in their pajamas, with Deku's notebooks scattered around them. Nerd kept babbling excitedly about his notes, expanding on some of the ideas and cross-referencing them with other notes. They argued about a lot of the points, of course, especially the ones concerning Katsuki's quirk. The nerd held his own during these debates, but occasionally Katsuki was able to point out a flaw in the reasoning that had Deku scribbling new notes and muttering like crazy. All the while, they hungrily munched on their respective bags of chips and sipped their sodas. It was nice. Katsuki caught himself staring at the way that Izuku's freckles would move on his excited pink cheeks while he was jabbering about quirks and strategies. Katsuki was able to relax and let his guard down. At one point he found himself laughing so hard that he tipped over on the floor. It's not funny, Kachan, that's a serious analysis. Deku's voice was caught between outrage and trying not to laugh himself, which only made Katsuki laugh harder. Eventually Deku looked at the time on his phone and gasped. We should start a movie now so that we have time to finish it before it gets too late. He frowned at the abandoned pile of comics. I'm sorry we didn't have time to read the comics too. I guess I got a little carried away. Forget the fucking comics, Katsuki growled, then in a softer tone. This was better. Really? You liked my notebooks? The boy seemed completely overwhelmed. Katsuki's pulse quickened. Yeah, nerd. Deku's eyes were watery, like he was about to burst into tears at any second. Kachan. So let's watch a fucking movie already. Katsuki grabbed the laptop from the desk and sat on the bed. Get your damn ass up here too. Deku looked confused. Oh? But I used to always have to watch from the floor. I don't fucking care what you used to do. You're sitting next to me, got it? Oh, okay. Wait, let me get our snacks. Deku jumped around excitedly like a kid in his pajamas, grabbing the bags of chips, then diving onto the bed and scrambling to sit next to Katsuki. Katsuki shuffled even closer to Deku, pressing his side against the nerds from shoulder to knee. He balanced the laptop across their laps. Do you want to watch the Silver Age one? Deku asked. I know those were your favorite. Nah, find something we haven't seen a million times. There's that new American All Might adaptation that looks... Deku started as if he were trying to think of a compliment, but ended up just saying, American. Katsuki snorted. All right, put it on. The movie was, of course, terrible. The American All Might was dumb as a brick and had zero nuances of his character. They even gave him a love interest, which made no sense because the real All Might never dated anyone. Deku laughed so hard at one point that his head tipped onto Katsuki's shoulder. Oh god, Kachan, I can't believe this is supposed to be All Might. Green curls tickled Katsuki's cheek. The warmth radiating from the nerd was unreal. Suddenly, an intense need struck him like a lightning bolt, and before Deku could move, Katsuki tipped his own head to rest on top of the nerd's. Deku's laughter immediately stopped. Shit. Katsuki wondered if he fucked up, but then Deku shifted himself to snuggle even closer and let out a contented sigh. Katsuki's heart was beating so fast, he couldn't even focus on the movie anymore. Pseudo All Might's dull voice said something and Deku started laughing again. The sound of vibration so close that it rang through Katsuki's skull. But it was somehow soothing. Laughter, punctuated occasionally by the crunching of chips. Katsuki closed his eyes. The places where their pajama-clad bodies were touching were so fucking warm. It was indecent to heat each other up this much, but it felt right. He didn't know how long he sat like that, but the next time he opened his eyes, the credits were rolling, and neither of them moved to do anything about it. It wasn't until the credits ended and the autoplay started another movie that Katsuki's hand finally darted out to pause it with the space bar. They didn't have time for another movie. It was already well past Katsuki's bedtime. Silence. I can't believe you made me watch that trash. Katsuki snickered. Deku giggled. Hey, you agreed. It's your fault too, Kachan. Don't you backtalk me, shitty nerd. Katsuki jabbed him in the side, on the pajama's fake belt line, causing the nerd to squirm and let out a large screech. Ha! Ticklish much, Izuku? Katsuki grinned dangerously, like a shark that smells blood in the water. Deku's eyes widened. He held up his hands protectively. Have mercy? Katsuki chuckled. Sorry, but we're all out of mercy. And tackled the other boy. No, Deku yelped, his voice morphing into shrieks of laughter as Katsuki's rough fingers dug into his sides. The nerd's onesie was so soft that it felt like tickling a fucking teddy bear, one with lean, hard muscle under its fur. Instead of pushing Katsuki off, Deku's crooked little nerd hands poked Katsuki in his armpits, causing him to yelp and jump away to the other side of the bed. Aha! Kachan's ticklish too, the nerd exclaimed, with that stupid competitive grin on his dumb, cute face. Am not, Katsuki growled, locking his elbows to his sides and glaring. Deku leapt straight into him, pulling Katsuki's onesie hoodie over his eyes. You little shit, Katsuki roared. The roar's effect was ruined by his voice cracking. He reached up to knock the other boy's hand from his hood, which left his armpits open for attack. Katsuki's own shrieks of laughter mixed with the nerd's triumphant giggles, as his armpits were brutally assaulted, but Katsuki wasn't going down without a fight. He grabbed the other boy's body and rolled them across the bed, halting when he had Deku pinned underneath him. He looked down and it seemed as though time stopped. Deku's body was tense as he anticipated the next tickle barrage. His freckled face was flushed from giggling so hard, with a wide smile and eyes shut tight. The beautiful sight hit Katsuki like a gut punch. He suddenly understood that this vision of Deku had been within his arm's reach since the day they met. Deku had never fundamentally changed at his core. He was always so pure and genuine. Katsuki just had to get his head out of his own ass to actually understand the other boy. All the shitty sleepovers of the past, and all the years without sleepovers. Katsuki could have had this all along. The laughter, the bubbly warm feeling when Deku smiled at him, the way his heart raced when they touched. Oh fuck. The green eyes opened slowly and the smile fell into a small frown of concern. Kachan? Katsuki couldn't find his voice to answer. His eyes darted around the room at the All Might merch on every wall and surface. Kachan? He buried his head in his hands and groaned loudly. He was so fucking dumb. It seemed like the stupidest time and place to finally understand just how fucking gay he was for Deku. Why did it have to be during a fucking tickle fight within Deku's lame fanboy cave while they both wore matching All Might onesies? Come on, what the fuck? Did I do something wrong? Deku's panicked voice asked from somewhere beneath him. Katsuki let out a humorless chuckle, still shell-shocked by the fucking absurdity of his life. I'll just get on the floor and we can go to sleep. Deku's voice was small and meek. The last sentence finally snapped Katsuki out of his gay panic-based shock. You're not sleeping on the fucking floor, Izuku. He slowly lifted his head from his hands to glare down at the self-sacrificial bastard. Couldn't he just let Katsuki freak out in peace without finding a sword to throw himself on every 5 fucking minutes? I'm not? Izuku blinked, bewildered, staring into Katsuki's eyes. That's right, we're gonna share the damn bed. Katsuki's face was burning. He had already decided earlier that he wouldn't let Deku sleep on the floor, but now, after his realization, sharing a bed had a whole new meaning. Deku's face was bright red. Share? But I don't think both of us can fit. Katsuki tried to let out an exasperated sigh, but it came out shaky. I'm gonna put my arm around you, if that's okay. Deku swallowed, then nodded. He gently pulled them both backwards, laying his back on the bed and settling Deku's head on his chest. Katsuki's arms wrapped tightly around the other boy. An embrace. It felt right. For some reason, it made him think of catching fireflies in the forest of their youth, under the stars. He could feel Deku's heartbeat. It was faint through the barrier of both their pajamas, but it was extremely fast, just like Katsuki's. See, isn't this better than the shitty floor? Kachan is holding me, Deku whispered in a small voice, as if he didn't believe it was happening. Fuck, was this too much? Had Katsuki gone too far? He cautiously asked, Is this okay? I've just wanted it for so long. His soft, sweet voice was quavering with emotion as his tears seeped into the chest of Katsuki's onesie. God, you're so fucking embarrassing. Katsuki muttered. The butterflies in his stomach were going fucking crazy. You can hold on to me too if you want. The nerd sniffled as he eagerly wrapped his arms around Katsuki's waist. Their legs tangled as Deku wrapped a full-body hug around him like an all-might onesie-clad koala. Warm. So warm, Kachan. They laid like that for a while. Their synchronized breathing brought their heart rates down to a comfortable speed. Deku's voice finally broke the silence. It sounded so vulnerable. Did you have a good time tonight, Kachan? There was a lot that Katsuki could have said. He could have played it cool and just said, not bad. He could have confessed his feelings to the nerd like a dumbass. He could have just laughed in Deku's face because he thwarted the boy's plans to completely relive the past. But it wasn't about that anymore. It never really was. And words just weren't enough. So instead, he lowered his head down to press a kiss into the soft curls that covered Deku's forehead. Deku immediately started to sputter like a short-circuiting robot. He slowly turned his strawberry red face upward to look at Katsuki, emerald eyes blown wide, frantically searching Katsuki's face. If you keep looking at me like that, I'll fucking do it again, Katsuki threatened, knowing his face was probably just as flushed as the nerd's. Okay, Deku whispered, not breaking eye contact as the tears flowed down his cheeks. That was all the confirmation Katsuki needed. He leaned in once more and pressed a kiss to a wet, freckled cheek. Salty tears continued to flow over his lips. When he pulled back, he was nearly blinded by Deku's smile. My turn? The boy asked. Katsuki nodded, not trusting his voice. Deku lifted himself up to reach Katsuki's face. The boy closed his eyes and slowly inched his very soft-looking lips towards Katsuki's cheek. At the last second, Katsuki, unable to resist, turned his head slightly, and Deku's lips met his own. The other boy's eyes shot open, and Katsuki couldn't help his pursed mouth from turning into a grin against the nerd's lips. Deku let out an embarrassed yelp, breaking the kiss and burying his face in Katsuki's pajamas. His face was furnace hot, the heat bleeding into Katsuki's chest, making his heart feel so warm and light. Shitty nerd, always trying to one-up me, huh? Stealing my first kiss like that, Katsuki teased, chuckling. Deku said something muffled into his chest. Huh? What did you call me? The green-haired boy lifted his red face to speak, but his lips were once again intercepted by another quick kiss from Katsuki, freezing Deku mid-motion. I still can't hear you, you have to speak up, Katsuki cackled, smiling so wide that his cheeks hurt. Deku stared at him wide-eyed for a few moments before the teary-eyed smile returned. I forgot what I was going to say. You look really cute when you smile like that, Kachan. Katsuki scowled, blushing. Well, you look like a damn strawberry and you taste like fucking nori potato chips. Deku giggled happily. Both of those are your fault. Yeah, and it's gonna be my fault when you taste like pancakes in the morning. The nerd gasped, brimming with childlike excitement. With strawberries? Tch, of course with strawberries. Who do you think I am, some kind of amateur? Katsuki's brain was hard at work trying to figure out where the fuck he could get fresh strawberries in the morning. He'd probably have to barter with Sato in exchange for Katsuki's valuable chili powder, or... Kachan? Yeah, Katsuki muttered distractedly, still deep in thought. I love you. The boy had said it simply, as if it had always been on the tip of his tongue. And it only took a kiss and the promise of a delicious breakfast to finally shake it loose. The words hit Katsuki like a freight train, made of a billion All Might action figures. In the past, Deku's infinite patience for him had been pure sunlight that blasted away the toxic sludge of his pride and misunderstanding. Now the same sunlight was now guiding Katsuki's battered heart safely through the dark, because Katsuki really had no fucking clue how to be in a romantic relationship. But it would be okay. Izuku would always be there for him. Love you too, Izuku. Katsuki choked out, unable to stop the tears from running down his cheeks. The end.